The guy was already beating his girlfriend when my partner and I crashed through the apartment door. Blood sprayed the cheap blinds. He turned on us like we'd ruined his show. I still hear the sound her nose made when his boot came down. We dragged him off her cuffed routine. I remember the weight of him more than the fight. Sweat, bare feet slipping in her blood, that sour smell of booze and cheap body spray. He kept thrashing, kept shouting that she made him do it like he'd practiced that line in the mirror. She crawled toward him while we pinned him, tried to grab his ankle. Her face already swelled, nose crooked, blood spilling between her teeth, and she still reached for him like he was the only safe thing in the room. That always hits harder than the violence. We walked him out, banging off the walls in that narrow stairwell. Halfway down, he dropped his act. No yelling, no police brutality. He leaned back into me and said, calm as a whisper, "You made it worse." That was it. For words. Then he started bucking again as soon as the lobby door opened like someone flipped a switch. At the hospital, she refused to press charges. Sat on the gurney, paper sheet stuck to her legs, telling the doctor she fell. I watched her sign the form with a hand that shook so bad the letters crawled. Her eye had ballooned shut. My sergeant said, "We'll get him on what we can," and told us to finish the reports. You learn to move on because there's always another call. A week later, same building, late shift. Dispatch sends us a domestic in 3B. Anonymous caller, lots of yelling, might be the same as last week. The hair on my arms stands up as soon as I hear the address. We run the stairs. No noise this time, just that dead hallway smell. The door to 3B sits closed, not even a chain. I knock, announce, then shove it open ready for round two. The place is empty. Nobody home. Empty, no furniture, no trash, no indent in the carpet where a couch used to sit. Just bare walls and clean floor. It looks like no one has breathed in there for months. The only thing inside is a phone on the floor in the middle of the living room. Beige landline, dusty cord, receiver knocked off like someone dropped it mid-sentence. I pick it up. It's warm like it was just in someone's hand. But the line's dead. No hum, no static, just flat silence. My partner checks the rest. Nothing in the kitchen. Empty bathroom. Even the closet's bare. I know we went to 3B for that first call. I remember the hallway, the door, the dents in the drywall where we hit it with his head. I go find the super and ask who lives there. He pulls out a clipboard, squints, says 3B's been vacant for months, waiting on a new tenant. I tell him we hauled a guy out of that exact unit last week. He shrugs, says maybe I've got the wrong number. My partner stays quiet. Later, in the car, he suggests maybe it was 2B or 4B and we misremembered. I snap at him, louder than I mean to. Dispatch logs the call as unfounded. Just a weird blip. You're not supposed to take weird blips home. But that warm plastic sticks to my palm all night. Paperwork rolls on. Court dates appear and vanish. He gets out on bail because no one died and she won't testify, and the system loves second chances for pieces of shit who know how to cry in front of a judge. Then he starts calling the station. Not to rant, not to threaten. He asks for me, knows my name. First night, the desk guy transfers it with a grin. I pick up and hear that same voice, slow and polite. He says he wants to apologize man to man. I hang up. Next night, another call. Same request. I tell the clerks not to patch him through. They do it anyway once or twice for fun. Cops are assholes like that. My sergeant tells me, don't let him under your skin. He's just poking the bear. Easy to say when it's not your name on the message slips. Then my wife texts me one afternoon while I'm on shift. Says there's some guy standing by the fence at our kids' school, watching the playground. She sends a blurry picture. The face is fuzzy, but I know that lazy lean, that half smile. He's not even hiding, just resting his arms on the chain link like a dad who forgot which kid is his. By the time I make it over there, lights and siren, he's gone. I walk the sidewalk, check parked cars, question the crossing guard. Nothing. My daughter runs out of school and flinches when she sees my uniform because I look furious. I log it as a suspicious incident. No law broken. No restraining order. My lieutenant tells me I'm paranoid. Another guy jokes that maybe the guy's in love with me. Everyone laughs. I start sleeping light. I double-check the back door. I keep my off-duty gun closer than I should. Every unknown number on my phone makes my stomach drop. A week or so later, late shift again, different part of town. Patrol gets sent to a crap motel off the highway for a welfare check. Guest hasn't come out. Maybe screams earlier, now silence. We roll as backup. Place looks like every other roadside box. Buzzing sign, peeling paint, curtains that never quite close. A clerk in a stained shirt leads us up, points at a door, says he heard thuds, maybe a fight from that room. The door sits slightly open. I feel it then, before I even see him. Same cold knot as 3B. Same taste of pennies under my tongue. We stack push in. The first thing I catch is the smell, blood, and old AC. Sheets on the bed are soaked dark. A woman lies there, half off the mattress, chest moving in jagged little jumps. Her eyes roll without focus. There's a purple mark around her throat where his hand squeezed, and he's sitting beside her like he's taking a break between rounds. Barefoot, bare chest, hands resting on his knees. Calm. When he looks up and sees me, his face lights up like he's relieved I made it to the party. He doesn't fight this time, doesn't argue. I grab his wrist, twist, cuff him while medics rush past us and drag the woman toward the door. I hear them shout about her airway, her pulse. I can't stop staring at the smear his body leaves on the mattress, like he's branded it. He angles his head back toward me while I tighten the cuffs. No words, just that same quiet laugh he left in my ear on the stairs. It's not loud. It still cuts louder than the medics yelling. On the drive to booking, I sit beside him in the back of the wagon, and the copper taste won't leave my mouth. I swallow, chew gum, nothing helps. He watches me with this lazy confidence, like he won, like we're stuck on a loop he controls. They give him real time after that. The woman lives, barely, and testifies. Prior incident comes up. It all stacks. Judge finally throws the book. Everyone slaps my back, says, "Nice work," and moves on to the next mess. I still wake up some nights sure I hear that old landline ring from 3B somewhere in my house, even though we don't own one. I walk the hall, check my kid, stare out at the dark street, and feel that same warm curve of plastic in my hand. Nobody's there, just my reflection in the window, tired and wired, waiting for a call that already ended. Whoever you were, stay in that grave of a cell, and let's not fucking meet. Night shift front desk sounds boring until you learn how many creeps treat a police lobby like a living room. This one started on a Tuesday, 2 a.m., empty streets, fluorescent hum. I'd been there long enough that the noises blended together. The printer grinding, the radio crackling, the soda machine wheezing like an asthmatic robot. That hour is when the DUI guys have already blown, the drunks are passed out, and it's just paperwork and caffeine holding the building up. I remember looking at the clock, thinking about leftover pizza in the break room, when the door clicked and he walked in barefoot, holding a kid's pink backpack. No, Keith, that detail hit harder than the bare feet. The bag was tiny, bubblegum pink, glitter peeling off the front, one strap twisted. You don't see something like that at 2 a.m. and feel okay. He moved like a regular guy, not homeless, not high. Clean jeans, hoodie, no coat, even though it was cold. Hair wet, actually dripping a little onto his shoulders. No puddles from outside, no rain, just him and that damp head like he'd showered in a hurry. He stepped up to the glass and set the backpack down soft like it was fragile. His eyes never stayed on me. They went from camera dome to side door to the panic button by my left hand and back again like he was mapping the room. I've seen guys case a place on video during training. It felt exactly like that. Only now, I was the one in the frame. He said he'd found the backpack near the playground. That's all. No extra words. I asked what time, which park, did he see anybody around? He shrugged like he couldn't be bothered to remember basic shit. Said, earlier, which isn't an answer. When I opened the backpack, my throat tightened. One sparkly notebook, a pack of crayons, a crushed juice box, a crumpled drawing of a house, and one tiny pink shoe with dead light-up soles. That shoe messed me up more than anything. I kept hitting the heel like an idiot, waiting for the flash that never came. He watched my hand the whole time I logged it. Not curious, not worried, just tracking. I asked his name for the form. He smiled, but only with his mouth, eyes stayed flat. Gave me nothing. That's rare. People love to tell you who they are in a police station, even when they shouldn't. This guy was all blanks. Then he asked what time we locked the doors for real. Those exact words. Not when we close, not if we're open 24/7. When we lock them for real. I told him we keep the lobby open. He didn't argue, just let his gaze slide toward the interior doors again like he already knew that and wanted to hear what I'd say. I smelled bleach when he turned away. Not strong, just there under the coffee and old carpet. That industrial, nose-burning kind. I watched him leave on the cameras, those wet footprints fading across the concrete, and my brain started lining up all the missing child flyers I'd seen lately. We didn't have an active one that matched a pink unicorn backpack, so I kept telling myself it was nothing, just a careless kid, a weird guy, no connection. You lie to yourself a lot on nights like that. Second night, he came back. Different clothes, still damp hair. Boots this time, good ones laced tight. That bothered me more than the bare feet. It meant the first night was a choice, not poverty. He walked in more relaxed, like he'd decided this was his spot now. Leaned on the counter, made small talk, then slid straight into questions that sounded innocent if you didn't string them together. How many officers work nights? How fast do we get to calls? Do we ever close the gate to the lot? Does anyone sit out there in unmarked cars, or is it just what the movies say? He laughed when he said that, but the laugh didn't fit his eyes. I answered by the book and stripped every answer down to the minimum. Normally I chat too much, fill silences, joke with people. With him, I felt my own voice shrink. He seemed to notice. His head tilted a bit, like a dog hearing a strange sound. I thought about pressing the assist button under the desk, getting someone to stand up front, but I pictured the shit I'd catch if it turned out to be nothing. You hit the button because you didn't like the way a guy looked? So I kept my hand near it and pretended that was enough. He left again, hovering by the door for a second like he wanted to say something else, but couldn't find the words. The bleach smell followed. After he walked out, I made a note in the system. Suspicious male, repeated questions about security. My sergeant read it, shrugged, told me some people are just weird and bored and like cops too much. I wanted to tell him there's a difference between a cop fan and a guy who watches your fingers on the keyboard like he's timing them, but I let it go. No crime, no report, no time. Third night, I knew it was him before I heard the door, just from the shift in the air. You work nights long enough, you start feeling people. He stepped inside, same wet hair, fresh jacket, smell of soap and bleach, and something metallic underneath it all that I tried not to name. My body went on alert before my head did. Heart pounding, mouth dry, palms sweaty against the mouse. He didn't bother with a backpack excuse or any pretense. Just walked up and picked up the conversation like we'd paused a TV show. Asked again about response times, but more specific now. How long between a panic button and someone actually coming out? Whether anyone ever sleeps in the back. What areas of the lot the cameras miss. All technically legal questions. Nothing I could ding him on, but every word felt like a fingertip pressing the edges of a weak spot. That's when something in me snapped and I stopped playing nice. I told him policy and then lied. Said we rotate random undercover units through the lot. Unmarked cars, sitting dark, all night, sometimes two at once, sometimes three, no pattern. His smile twitched. It was tiny, but I saw it. Like I just screwed up a schedule he'd worked out. His eyes flicked toward the parking lot, like he was recalculating in his head. That was the only time I felt like I'd hit him back. He left quicker that night. No lingering at the door. Went straight across the street and planted himself behind the bus stop glass. That became his new thing. He didn't come in again, not while I was on, but he stood there some nights, half in shadow, framed by ads for fast food and payday loans, counting patrol cars under his breath. I watched him on the screen, watched his lips move. We'd have 3 units roll through, and I'd see a mouth 1, 2, 3, then reset. The guys teased me about it, called him my admirer, asked when I was going to go out and say hi. Nobody walked over and actually checked him because technically he wasn't doing shit. Public sidewalk, hands in his pockets, not even smoking, just staring and counting and waiting for something only he knew about. I logged every sighting. Same mail, known to staff, bus stop across from station, possible surveillance. I used all the right words, hit all the right boxes. Nothing stuck. No matching missing kid, no dead body, no screaming parent asking about a pink backpack. After a while, he stopped showing up. Just gone. No goodbye, no arrest, no follow-up. The backpack sat in property for a while, then got cleared out with the rest of the unclaimed junk. Watching that bright pink vanish into a gray bin made my stomach twist. We'd had the only piece of something and tossed it because the forms said time's up. Now, when I walk from my car to the station in the dark, I catch myself scanning the bus stop glass before I unlock the door. Sometimes I see a shape out of the corner of my eye, and my hand goes straight to my flashlight and my keys between my fingers like claws. It's always just my reflection or some random guy waiting for the late bus, but my pulse ramps up anyway. Nothing ever happened on paper. No crime report. But now I never walk from my car to the station without a flashlight in my non-dominant hand and my keys between my fingers. The first time our own station called 911, dispatch thought it was a glitch. This was 2017, small city department, old brick building, older wiring. The CAD screen showed the caller ID as our front desk line, even though I was sitting right next to that silent phone. We all kind of laughed at first because weird shit happens on night shift and you learn to shrug most of it off. CAD burps, radio squeal, phone is the mid-sentence. Half the building is patched together from stuff older than me. We had rainwater leaking in the stairwell that year, and the chief kept saying next budget cycle like a spell. So when a number popped up as our own, the dispatcher just rolled her eyes and hit playback, ready to complain to IT in the morning. The recording didn't sound like any of us. Woman's voice dry like dust in a vent. He's in the walls. Basement holding. Then a scream that clipped the audio. We don't even have a basement holding. When that scream hit, all the noise in the room stopped. No joking, no keyboards, just that high, broken sound cutting off like someone yanked a cord. It didn't sound like the bullshit prank calls we get. No drunk slur, no giggles in the background. It sounded tired, like she'd been screaming for a long time already, and this was just one more push. Dispatcher looked at me because I was closest to the front desk. I remember how hard my chair scraped when I stood up, like it wanted to stay put. I checked the phone, checked the lines, watched the little indicators. Nothing. No missed call, no blinking light. Just silence and the hum of that ancient fluorescent above the front counter. We sent units anyway, because you don't ignore a 911 from your own number. That's the kind of thing that ends careers when it goes bad, and we all knew it. So we treated it like a real hot call. I grabbed my vest, keyed up, forced my voice steady, even though it felt stupid as hell. Unit 23 en route to ourselves, I guess. Guys laughed on the radio, but it was thin. We cleared every floor, even the attic full of old case files and moldy evidence boxes. Nothing. We opened every supply closet, pushed on every panel. One of the rookies joked, "Basement must have grown legs," and walked off. And I snapped at him harder than I should have. My heart hammered like I'd run stairs, even though all I did was walk the same halls I walked every damn day. The chief called IT the next morning. They checked the lines, checked the PBX, checked the CAD logs. Glitch, they said. Ghost in the machine. Someone printed out the call ticket and pinned it to the corkboard with a sticky note that said, "Who you gonna call?" with little doodle ghosts. Everybody laughed and moved on. I didn't move on. I kept thinking about that voice. Dry, strained, like it scraped through something before it reached us. And that word choice, basement holding. Nobody calls it that. We don't even say holding much. We say cells. It felt wrong in my mouth when I repeated it for the report. Next week, same thing. Graveyard again, slow night. We're bullshitting about coffee, and overtime when the dispatch phone chirps and CED flashes that same caller ID. Front desk. I looked over and the phone sat there, dead still, coiled cord twisted like a snake sleeping. Same voice, same rasp. This time she didn't waste time with the walls. She used my last name and badge number like she was reading it off my chest. Said I left her there in 2009. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I'd puke on the console. 2009 is a year I don't say out loud much. That's the year a DV victim went missing from a call I'd handled, body never found. Apartment smelled like bleach and fear. Neighbors didn't hear anything. Boyfriend lawyered up quick. We wrote the reports, pushed the case, and it just stalled. Then it slid. I buried that file in my head the way we bury the ones that don't end right. You shove them down, and you keep working, and you tell yourself you'll dig them back up when there's something to dig for. Hearing her say my name, my badge, that year, it felt like someone cracked that mental concrete with a crowbar. I grabbed the headphones from the dispatcher before the scream, like I could catch something else in the static. Play it again, I told her. My hand shook. I tried to hide it, but she noticed. She narrowed her eyes and said, "You okay, Sarge?" I just stared at the waveform on the screen, that little block where the scream clipped. It looked like a heartbeat that went straight up and flatlined. We sent units again. Of course we did. This time I led the sweep. I hit every corner, every locked door, like maybe if I pushed hard enough, a hidden staircase would pop open. I yanked open the electrical closet under the stairs, stuck my head in that hot dust and spider web smell, and just listened. Nothing. No voice. But something in the wall gave a little crackle like settling plaster, and I jumped like a rookie, elbowed the door frame, swore loud enough to echo. Back in dispatch, I asked for the recording. For the report, I said. That was half true. The other half was uglier. I wanted to hear if it was her. The one from 2009. The one I still saw sometimes in my sleep when a call went sideways. We keep recordings for a while, so they pulled it and burned me a copy on a disc because our system's still half in the damn Stone Age. I took that disc home after shift, popped it into the old laptop at my kitchen table while the sun came up. Played it once, twice, 10 times. The more I listened, the worse it got. The voice had that same panic I'd heard over tinny apartment speakers years earlier, the night she begged us not to leave her there. "Please don't go, he'll kill me." And we'd done the checklist, the report, the warnings, the call us if he comes back, all the shit that looks good on paper. Then 2 weeks later, the boyfriend says she ran off. No body, no trail, just a line in a case file. Unfounded/missing. I slammed the laptop shut after the 10th replay. Had to. My own heartbeat synced with that clipped scream, and I started to feel like I was suffocating. I sat there with my palms flat on the table, staring at my badge and the fruit bowl where I'd tossed it, and I thought, okay, either someone's fucking with me, or the past isn't as buried as I thought. I pulled old blueprints after shift. There was a basement holding, sealed in the 80s, under the records room, concrete poured over rusted bars. No way down now. Getting those blueprints was its own fight. City Hall clerk rolled her eyes when I asked for anything that old. "We digitized most of it," she said, but when she searched, it came up empty. I leaned on her, pulled the officer's safety card, hinted that if the building wasn't up to code and someone got hurt, her name would end up on reports too. That got her moving. She disappeared into a back room and came out with a brown tube that smelled like mildew and old paper. I unrolled that thing on the squad room table like it was a treasure map. The guys made jokes about pirate gold. I traced lines with my finger. There was a little rectangle under our current records room, labeled holding Smith. A stairwell that no longer exists, a door that opens into a wall now. Around 84, someone scribbled in red pencil, "Filled/abandoned." "What the hell is this?" one of the guys asked. I didn't answer. I just stared at that scribble. Filled with what? How full? Did they just dump concrete over cells like you'd seal a fucking leak? Who signed off on that? I started asking around old-timers. Most of them shrugged it off. Before my time, we never used it. One retired captain, half drunk at a retirement party, muttered, "We had our own ways back then," and then pretended he didn't say it. When I pressed, he looked over my shoulder like someone stood there. No one did. After the second call, I didn't sleep right for weeks. Every creak in my house sounded like cracking plaster. I started snapping at people, even citizens on calls. One woman complained, said I looked at her like she was already dead. Maybe she wasn't wrong. When you spend your nights hearing a voice from your own building say you left her there, it gets hard to look at anyone like you can actually save them. We still get that call once a year, always my badge, always that voice accusing. It comes around the same time, late fall, when the heat first kicks on and the vents rattle and the whole place smells like dust cooking. Dispatch doesn't joke about it now. The new kids get quiet when CAD flashes our own number, and the old ones look at me like I'm a bad omen someone forgot to transfer. I don't work nights anymore, and I never park over that part of the lot. That's where the blueprints show the old stairwell used to run down, straight under what's now asphalt and oil stains. I know it's stupid, but every time my tires roll near there, I feel this little drop in my gut, like the ground wants to open. So I park by the street, take the extra walk, pretend it's for the steps. Sometimes when I'm stuck on a report in the records room and the building settles, I hear something in the wall behind the shelves. Not voices, not clear, just a dry little scrape, like fingernails on old brick way down where no one's supposed to be anymore. Nobody else reacts. Maybe they don't hear it. Maybe they do, and they're better at lying to themselves than I am. I thought about quitting. Thought about turning that disc and the blueprints over to some journalist, blowing it all up. Then I imagine them digging under the records room and finding exactly nothing. And I'm back to being the crazy cop who hears ghosts and fucks up old case files. Or worse, I imagine them finding something. Bones in uniforms, bones in dresses, concrete poured around them like a tomb. I don't know which scares me more. So I keep going in. I keep doing the job. I keep waiting for that call every year, waiting to hear what she'll say next. But she never changes the script. She just calls, names me, names the year, reminds me I left her there. Like a clock I can't shut off. Believe me or don't. That's what happened.